We're live.
Can I flick them off? Just kidding.
No, that would be a little rude. Alright, y'all, we're live. So we'll give it a couple of minutes.
This is lit.
You see?
This is the first time I'm on Instagram Live.
See,
I do it all the time. And I'm just
Really?
like,
Yeah.
I just like talking. I used to do Facebook Live a lot. Text my mom.
Okay, cool.
No, it's okay.
So welcome everyone. The one thing I can't do is get these comments to go away. Like if I click on here. I used to be able to do that, but
Oh wow, people are
Anyway.
tuning in already.
oh yeah, we got some big
We
people.
lit.
So welcome everyone. welcome. This is Woke Wednesdays.
Yes.
We do this every single Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Different topic every week. My name is Turson, and as you can see, we have a panel of lovely guests. So if we could go around and introduce yourselves, and after we kind of introduce the show, we'll get it started. So who would like to go first?
Let's do it like
We're
a
gonna
snake
start.
or whatever. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll start. So hi, my name is Dianara. I'm a senior for you. My major is marketing, and I'm a sister of Omega Phi Beta.
All right.
Do you want to go up there or down here?
Whatever.
Okay. Hi everyone. My name is Brittany. I'm a graduate student in the International Intercultural Education Department. Yeah.
Hi, you guys. My name is Maria, but you can call me Witty. I'm a criminal justice and psychology major, and I am a member of the Sigma Pi chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated.
Okay, hello. My name is Tara. I'm from New Jersey originally, graduated from William Patterson with a major in Women's and Gender Studies, and now I'm here for my master's degree in higher education. Yeah, thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jodine. I'm a bio major, pre-dent, and I'm a sister of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Witty's my line sister, so yeah, I got sucked into this.
Hi, my name is Blessing. I'm a senior. I'm studying international business and finance. I'm a sister of Omega Phi Beta, and this is my line sister here as well.
Aww, fresh.
All right. So so we do this every single Wednesday. Like I said, welcome everybody. We got a lot of people tuning in tonight. Welcome. And after this, I promise you, I will be quiet. So tonight's topic is violence against women. And I think this is an extremely important topic that we need to be talking about. This is not a new development. This has been going on for centuries, probably since inception, right? And as a cisgendered heterosexual male, I think it's extremely important that I listen to these types of conversations, that we all listen to these types of conversations. So for tonight, I will be quiet for the rest of the show, and I will ask one question, and please post comments, post questions, whatever you're thinking. I will give the iPad to one of them, and they'll be reading off the questions and comments throughout the night. Two of our guests are leaving a little bit early, but just kind of as an FYI, and then let me know whenever you're ready to go. And yeah, so I'll ask one question. When we say violence against women, what does that mean to y'all? Feel free to answer popcorn style or however you would like.
All right, who's starting it off?
Okay, so I'll start So violence against women to me just means everything. Physically, emotionally, mentally, any type of violence that anyone does towards a woman, even towards a woman to a woman, that's what a lot of people don't think about. That's violence against women. Because like a lot of people think about, violence against women, it's always men to women, or just a men to women, that's it. But no one really thinks about women to women, and I think that's a topic that needs to be brought to light, because women can also be violent towards each other.
Yeah.
And like, it's crazy how that happens, because as women we should be empowering each other, not putting each other down. I know everyone always says that, but in reality it's really true.
When Hurston said the topic, excuse me, of violence against women, the first thing that I thought of was like unintentional things, because to me, I feel like the most harmful, one of the hardest parts about being a woman in today's society is just like the things that we don't realize that are constantly being brought down upon us. It's like the violence that we experience that we can't even recognize that we experience because it's just so normalized. So yeah, that's what I think of.
That's like what happens in like relationships, you know, like in your relationship with your boyfriend, and like they do it slowly. It's just like, oh, by the way, I don't like you wearing leggings, and you'll be like, okay, don't wear leggings for that day, and then like all of a sudden you recognize in yourself that like, okay, I'm not gonna wear leggings because he doesn't like it, or oh wait, if he likes to get aggressive with me, or I know this will get him mad, let me not do it. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. A lot of people don't think about, they're already being conditioned towards the violence that's being meant towards them. It's crazy how that all works out, you know?
Yeah.
I think about like myself and like in general, like in my past relationships, like I remember I had a domestic violent person, and his whole thing was to put me down and to make me feel bad about what I was doing to cover his faults. So with anything that was like happening like between us, it was always my fault.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? And that's like that kind of destroyed me a little bit mentally, because it was just like, what am I doing so wrong to like make him not happy?
Of course.
That's what I think about.
So, to kind of like add on or like piggyback, I wanted to kind of like bring to light that a lot of times the reason why these things are normalized, or the reason why we don't actually acknowledge violence against women as violence against women, is because we're like living in this society that's like male dominated,
Right.
which I think I'm gonna define as like a patriarchy, right?
Okay.
So in a society that is completely run by the perspective and the favor of a male body, right? And so I think that being said, like your experience is so valid, but it's also, there's a purpose, there's a system in place to make these actions normalized, to make us feel as if we have to accept it, as if that's our place, as if we have a certain role or a gender role in our society that we like need to like subscribe to. And like that perpetuation, I just want to bring to light that is patriarchy as a whole.
I really like that you called it a purpose, because I feel like, I don't know, patriarchy, I think it's kind of like a buzzword right now. Everyone's like, oh, down with the patriarchy, which like, of course, like I agree, down with the patriarchy, but I think we just think of it as like a system in place, but like for no purpose, but there is a purpose, like you were saying. Like it's specifically all of these, you know, norms and regulations, like they were created a long, long time ago because they wanted women to be in their place. So it's completely on purpose, and even though men perhaps don't recognize that they're contributing to it, the fact that you are gaining from it means that you're perpetuating it in some manner.
Right.
Yeah.
When I think of violence against women, I think of violence. I don't want to. Violence against women is not only domestic, but when I think of it, I think of it about and
emotional.
And emotional. I think of it as the domestic violence against African American women. That's really like, it's silenced, but if you look at the statistics, domestic violence against African American women is the highest. It's the highest. But it's silenced because the African American woman is supposed to be the strongest woman. So it really like, because we're supposed to be the strongest, it's silenced, and it's like, I know people that are beat down every day. You know what I'm saying? And they don't have the voice, or they don't want to voice what's going on with them because of the image they're trying to uphold, of the household they're trying to keep, the visual they're trying to keep. You understand what I'm saying? So although violence against women is not only physical, it's spiritual, it's mental, it's anything like even like we were talking about, it's women and women. What I think of primarily is the violence in the African American community, because that's what comes firsthand for me. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
I completely agree with you. I just wanted to add on real quick. Yes, definitely to Black women that's the most violence, but specifically like transgendered Black women have the most violence against them between any other group, group at all. Yeah, for sure. The intersections of like race and class and everything, like it only makes being a woman like that much harder if you have those other factors.
I agree completely. Like I watched this man. I'm probably gonna like kind of skew off, but his name is Malibu like Barbie, and he's
I love him.
I love him.
Yeah, and he's so flamboyant, and he's so confident, and he says whatever's on his mind.
Yeah.
And I love him because of that. He speaks about everything that happens in the trans community, especially towards the African American community, and it's just like, wow, like, oh my God, I'm tuned in, I'm subscribed, because like you have a voice and you're
using it.
Yeah, you're using it. So yeah.
Okay, so one of our guests just basically said that not just physically, but Black women are broken down every day, verbally, emotionally, spiritually. Black women are moles of the world, and we're expected to keep pushing. Like for instance, like with my mom, she was always that person like, you have to work hard because you're black. You have to work 10 times harder because you're a black woman.
Right.
And then one thing that she always like taught me was like, what happens in the household like stays in the household. So it's like whatever I seen with my stepdad like beating on her, like pulling out weapons, whatever the situation was like when I went out to the world was like nothing ever happened. I acted like it was okay, like it was just like normal until like I was like when I got older I'm like, wait, this is not normal for a man to be beating on you, you know? And I feel like sometimes what bothers me the most, like I had to like when it comes to domestic violence, I feel like one of the most things, like, I was emotionally abused, but to see someone get physically abused, one of those things, like, I feel like, I know, like, a lot of women, like, but, oh, that's her business, I'm sad at other people's business, but it's like, you have to teach that person, like, the true definition of love. And patience, because, like, when I see my mom, I see, like, a victim, you know what I'm saying? I see, like, a prisoner in her own body, and it's like, sometimes I'm like, why don't you just leave him? And she's just like, it just looks at me, I'm like, sometimes I feel like
it's not that easy.
It's not that easy to just leave someone that's, like, beating on you, like, taking your money, just, like, depriving, you know, it's that fear of, like, if I leave him at this moment, what would happen to me?
It's not even that fear, it's that initial first love. They still see that in the person.
They think they could, like, fix them and they make them better. Right. But not everybody can be fixed, and everybody wants to be fixed, and it's not your job to fix that person.
When somebody shows you their true self, it's so hard to believe that the person that you first met is this person, but once they show you that, like, it's like, wow, this is you. But I mean, being in the situation, I can't speak for domestic violence victims, but being in, like, once they show you that that's them, that's them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think, like, two things on that. One, abusers are smart. You know what I mean? Like, we always hear of, like, cycles of abuse, you know? Like, it's like, apparently, like, abusive relationships, like, the nice parts are incredibly nice. You know what I mean? Like they're the best man you've ever met, this or this or that, you know, so you're going on, it's a great honeymoon stage, and then an incident happens, it's awful for a bit, but then, oh, I'm so sorry, I'll never do it again, and the cycle all starts over again. Yeah, so when you cling on to that honeymoon stage and you're like, well, this is the best love I've ever had, you know, it's really hard to get out of that. So I think that, and then also I think you were kind of touching on it, but just like the reaction that we have to women who are in these relationships, like, why don't you just leave, da-da-da-da-da, and then it becomes so hard for them to leave just because they feel like they don't have a support system in a sense. Also, abusers tend to, like, isolate women, so it's like all your friends, all your family that might have helped you at one point, like, they're not really there anymore.
Right, and so then even on the topic of domestic abuse, right, like, how much abuse is happening within domestic abuse? There's, like, financial abuse, there's verbal, there's mental, and then there's, of course, the physical, emotional. And so that, like, domestic abuse, like, we see it as such, like, a concentrated topic of abuse, but it's embodying all types of abuse, especially because of the financial, like, even talking about, like, why don't women leave? I hear that dialogue all the time, like, why didn't you leave? Like, why didn't you just get up and leave? And it's just like, well, when your whole, like, life depends on someone, it's not so easy to pick up your things and go, let alone, like, it's either take a hit or starve on the street with your family, you know what I mean? Or with your kids if you have kids, or if you're alone. And that's tough, like, idea to even, like, absorb, right? Like, the fact that that's only a choice for some people, like, it's either this or I'm on the streets.
Yeah, maybe with kids. I was also saying, like, that also happens, like, with a lot of immigrant women as well. Definitely, it's like when they leave their country and they, like, for instance, like, I'm gonna go back to my mom. It's like, that's the first person she met when she entered the United States. So it's like she became dependent on this man. This man, like, knows her, like, social security. He knows everything about her.
The man is the reason why she's even in the country. She's the reason why they got married and she gave him the papers. You know what I'm saying? So. Yeah, that's very true.
Even comes, like, for instance, like, back to, like, immigrant women, it's like a lot of immigrant women, it's like, not saying that they're more dependent on a man because they're the one that's probably providing more, but not as much, but they're providing more, and then they speak more of English, so it's like they're the ones that's finally, like, they're the ones that's bringing the kids to the clinics, they're the ones that's doing everything, so it's like, that's all you have, you know? So it's like, and all your family's in a whole other country, so it's like, if this man leaves you, it's like, where do you end up?
Some people stay because they have to, and then touching back to what you were saying, it's kind of like, who says that leaving the man is going to end the violence? You know what I'm saying? Because how many times has there been a friend of yours, or just a woman in general, leave a relationship that was violent, and then that man come after her, either through texting, calling, showing up at her job, showing up at where she hangs out. Like, just because you leave doesn't mean it's over. So I think some women, in general just want to stay just to keep it in the central area.
Because I feel like it's like, back to that, it was like some women, I feel like not just they just stay, I just feel it's like one of those things like when you get used to something, that's all you know. So it's like when a good man comes, you don't even know like what a good man is, because you're so used to like a guy that's like, and you get, it's, I don't know, it's like when something else like reading was like, for instance, like when you get used to something, it's like a drug, and then you try something else, it's like, that's not the drug you're used to. You're even afraid to try a new drug. Even though the drug is better for you than that old drug, it's like you're just afraid of what else is out there. So it's like you rather just stick to what you know and you tolerate it. Because like, it was something I was talking, like I was like writing the other day, was like, for instance, like when someone hurts you so bad, after a while the pain no longer hurts. So you're able to tolerate it because it no longer affects you the way it affected you the first time. You know?
You numb yourself to it.
You're numb. It's like they're
writing witty.
Oh,
sorry.
I'm sorry, y'all.
Sorry, guys. You guys can talk. I'm gonna catch everybody up.
She preaching.
I think it was like.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm glad you guys are here though. Like,
And I think
it's a party.
I think like what we're also saying is that there's like levels to it, right?
Right.
And like even acknowledging that just goes to show like how embedded violence is in our society. Like the fact that we have to first like even take a second to recognize it in the beginning of a relationship just goes to show that it's so normalized that we're just like, no, we just argued the first time, it's cool, like this is gonna be the first.
But even like violence can be in friends.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you do like, I'm trying like, even jealousy, I feel like is a form of violence, because the tone of word, like the tone of how they speak to you, and like how they can attack your insecurities. I feel like that's worse than beating me down, because
emotionally.
like emotional violence to me, like,
Is worse.
So I think there's a difference too, because I hear what you're saying,
right?
But I think that jealousy is such like an innate characteristic in a human being, and what we're talking about is violence, something that is repetitive. So I don't think that like me being jealous for the first time of someone would be necessarily a violent act that I'm abusing you, but more like as a just like something that happens, and then if I were to like act on it and have control over it and want to like hurt you because of that jealousy, that's when I think it becomes abuse.
But what
Right,
about,
that's what I'm saying.
Well,
Yeah,
for
that's
instance,
what I'm
like,
saying.
what about like the jealousy when it comes to like in a relationship? For instance, like
No, definitely.
when you're a woman, for instance, like a woman on woman, like if I like, for instance, if I was like into women, if I see another woman I know that could treat my woman better than me, that tends like, and I see like my woman like, okay, like
Right.
that forms like a spark where it comes into like a sort of violence. Like, okay, like you think you could leave me, or you think you could find something better.
That's
But
what
that's
I'm
like
saying.
Depending you
I
are
think-
on them.
And someone's
That's definitely the difference though, because like even friends, I was just thinking like how you said friends, I was just like, yeah, I mean like sometimes that happens in friendships, but I don't see it as abuse. But when it is in a relationship and it is like a moving factor of abuse, then that's the problem.
But I had a best friend that was, I feel, jealous of me and abused me. I feel like she abused me emotionally. She used her words again. Like I was just like, whoa, until I realized like this is not.
Was it like you're my friend only, like no one's gonna understand you?
It was more like you're my friend, but
it?
also like you think you look better than me. Like,
Yes,
it's like I'm gonna tear you down. Even though you're my friend, I'm also gonna tear you down as a person.
You can't equal me or try to like you can't be better than me type of person. Like,
someone was saying basically another aspect of domestic violence is sexual violence by the abuser. It's not a topic that's spoken about, so we could discuss it right now.
Right, rape in relationships, that happens. It exists.
Yeah, for me, it's like mind blowing to think about marital rape was legal until like the 90s. I forget what exact year, but it was sometime in the 90s where they made it so that a husband could be tried for raping his wife. Because that was just like a marital duty. You know what I mean? Like, clearly you provide for your husband. Like, he's bringing home the money. Da 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 da.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That is insane.
Yeah.
The 90s? That's yesterday.
Yeah.
And this been happening hundreds of years. That's honestly insane.
Yeah, and I really think it's one of those things that's, I mean, all of this is very normalized. It's kind of like the point, but I feel like specifically I've heard way too many like girlfriends and just random women that I've met like, oh, you know, yeah, like my boyfriend, he has like a way higher libido than me. I kind of just like deal with it, and like it's over in a few minutes. I'm like, do you realize what you're saying? Like, and they don't, you know what I mean? I'm not blaming them because it's so, like, common, but it's just, like, mind-blowing, because if you were saying that same exact sentence about some dude you met 10 minutes ago, like, nobody would be arguing about whether that's rape or not. But just because he has this title of your boyfriend, then it's like, oh, yeah, well, those are the things you deal with for your boyfriend, you know?
It has to do a lot with the different roles we play as women.
Mm-hmm.
You have to decide,
Yeah.
what am I going to be? Am I going to be a person who follows these traditional roles, or am I going to break the rules?
Right.
And living in that duality is frustrating because you just don't know what to do, because either way you're going to get shamed.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Someone said, can we talk about the factors that play into the violence against women, such as rape culture, sexist language?
Marisa. Okay. So yeah. Does anyone else heard?
Sexist language.
So yeah, I'll probably start.
Yeah.
I wanted to think about how I wanted to without being sexist.
I feel like rape culture, just that itself, is like such a big word, and again, one of those like hot button words for me personally. I feel like, I know at my undergraduate college campus, for instance, like all the time, like, oh yeah, it's on us, like, we're gonna stop college rape culture, da 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 da. But then when you break it down, like, what does that really mean? Like, for me, that means the fact that it's acceptable for, like, college males to be like, yo, I banged that whore the other day, da 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 da, like, or, oh, did you hear about that slut? Like, and that happens all the time. And, you know, coming from, like, you know, I'm doing higher education and stuff like that, can administration change people from talking locker room talk in the hallways? I mean, how do you really change that? Ooh, and then something I just said that I want to comment on, I just feel like this is kind of related. Like, the language related to sex is so violent in itself. Like, and it's always men penetrating women. Like, I am, what are words? Like, banging you. I am, help me. Like, yeah, even fucking. Like, it's so violent. And it's, and it's always directed toward the women. Like, women are accepting, violence, and it's sex. Like, you're supposed to want to be banged.
You rarely hear, oh, I, woman, fuck the shit out of this hoe. You don't hear that. You hear, men, I fuck the shit out of this hoe. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we ran a train on her. Like, that's.
But do you think? Okay, for instance, like, I'm gonna be like the devil advocate. But do you think, like, sometimes, like, us women, the feeling of being wanted, we tolerate that? Just being wanted by a man is like, okay, like, for instance, like, if I'm walking and then, like, a guy's not even looking my way, but then the next girl, they're like, ooh, she has on some shirts, like, oh, okay, she look fine. I'm just like, damn,
what's
I don't
wrong
look
with
fine.
me?
What's wrong with me?
What's
Like, I
wrong
don't
with
look fine.
me?
But then it's like, when it happens to me, I'm like, dang, okay, now I feel kind of awkward. Like, chill out. Like, you know, I know I have a big butt, but can you not look at my butt? Like, can you not, like, okay, all right, we're done.
It's just like the same with jealousy. Like, oh, he's jealous over me, so obviously he cares about me. He loves me. And they don't, no one ever thinks about, like, the violence between that, or how you could just be, like, nurtured to that jealousy.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, I feel like in terms of what you're saying of, like, kind of wanting the attention in a way, I mean, like, that's just an example of, like, internalized oppression. And I feel like before you were speaking on, like, the fact of, like, violence among women, and I don't want to, like, misinterpret what you meant, but when I heard that, I was thinking of kind of, like, girl on girl bullying, or like, oh, she's a slut, or da da da. Was that what you were, like, referencing? Yeah, like, I think that's, like, such an issue, but I also think what's a bigger issue is, like, the reason that happens is not because women are catty people, which is what we're taught to believe, like, oh, women are just vicious. It's internalized oppression. Like, we're made to feel like that's what we're supposed to do. And if we're gonna, like, succumb and, like, we're ever gonna make men happy, because that's all we really are taught to want, then we need to, like, play the role. So like, I kind of want to be, like, when I go to a club and I'm, like, not hit on, I'm like, do I not look nice today? Like, I thought I looked nice today. Yeah, but, like, in reality, like, I shouldn't be basing my life off of whether I'm, like, getting hit on or not, you know? Like, I shouldn't be living my life to get male acceptance. Yeah.
Who came up with this role that women are supposed to fit into?
I mean,
But
when did that become, like,
such
a term?
What's crazy is that it changes every so often. Like, first she was supposed to be skinny, now she's supposed to be big boobs, big butt. You know what I'm saying? Like, it changes so much. It's like, what do you guys want anyways?
I feel like even that, I mean, that could be commented on a lot of things. Like, I don't know, just like, attraction and what's considered beautiful, like you said, like right now it's like thick, like big boobs, big ass, whatever. And then when you look at the people who, I mean, this is a general blanket statement, but where we can attribute those features to, like the Black community, for instance, or even like Latin communities. So those are the features that you want, but they look better on particular women. You know what I'm saying? Like people want like white women essentially to have like big boobs and like big asses and big thighs, but then women who perhaps they naturally would have that, like Black women for example, you could be like shamed or you know like you're not white enough.
Like your lips are too big. Like just 2 years ago we were being teased because our lips are too big, but today, oh my God, they're so beautiful.
White for the people in the back.
Yes, exactly. Like, it's confusing. It's just like you really have to love yourself essentially, because whatever God gave you, I'm sorry, like I don't know, you know, whatever God gave you is just what you have. So, you know what I'm saying?
Okay. I have like a question is like, so why do you think women do not talk about, for instance, like domestic violence or like just violence in like particular? Like, why don't we discuss it?
Because it's embarrassing.
Yeah, and it's a reality. I think it's like a triggering reality, right? Like when I think about violence and the way it's been done to me as a woman, I get triggered, and I don't want to like necessarily be vulnerable to every person that I meet.
Vulnerability.
Right, and so I don't. And I also think it's a time and place. Like those topics hold such heaviness, right? And they're not just like, but like also I just want to put into perspective that the violence done could be as easy as like verbal, right? But to me it holds so much heaviness that I can't even bring myself to like talk about it without tearing up.
Right.
Or even thinking about it. Like
it's all a process, because like to me, like personally me, like I was raped on campus. Like on this campus. And for me it's kinda like before I was embarrassed, I was vulnerable, I would cry. Like I couldn't even get out of my
for even admitting.
And that's the point that I am on now, because before it's just like why should I be embarrassed?
Right.
Because I haven't done anything wrong. You know what I'm saying? So let me use my platform that I have to speak about things that people don't want to talk about, because what I'm doing, like just being here right now and talking about this, it brings more power to other girls who might have also been raped. You get what I'm saying? To be able to talk about it, to let them know, like, you don't have to feel bad about what happened to you. You don't have to feel bad about anything, because you are not in the wrong. You didn't do anything. So
thank you for saying that.
And I think it's also like just kind of to connect it to like the whole like idea of the patriarchy. The reason we feel this way to not share stories, or the reason we even like look at ourselves as like, do we look good when we're not getting hit on, or like our self-esteem, this is all driven by this bigger system put in place. And like I'm not really sure where the system arose from, right? Like you asked that question and I laughed I laughed out of nervousness, because I'm just like, what who created that?
It's a good question,
right? And like some people would argue like that it's, you know, could be religion based, it could be like a sense of control, like look at the historical implications of our country, let alone, right? So I think that like there's like this bigger system in place that continuously makes us feel like we're not worthy, and I just want to continuously call it out through our whole conversation, because I think it's just a vital part of like recognizing what violence is, let alone violence against women, you know?
And I also think in terms of like talking about it, like this is a relatively new concept, you know what I mean? Like women talking about these things. So the second wave of feminism, there came out this like quote, it's called like the personal is political. So in terms of that, like, okay, so first wave was, you know, getting the right to vote, right? Exactly. So second wave, women started to having these things, I forget the exact word, but it was essentially like focus groups, like little sister groups, where they would like talk about issues. And so essentially they were like, oh yeah, like my husband, like, you know, like he da-da-da-da. Oh, my husband does that too. Oh wait, that happens to me all the time. And so women were starting to realize that these problems weren't individual personal problems, they were like systematic issues. So I mean, second wave of feminism, that was like, I don't know, I'm really awful at dates, that was not too long ago, you know what I mean? So I think like moving forward, the conversations that we're having are really vital, like you know, things like this, things like, I mean, many things. So hopefully the conversation will keep moving, and then that will eventually evoke change.
Okay, so I have so Take Over the Moon said it's all about the male gaze. Lotus 23 said, do you think part of it is due to religion? I personally feel like it's due to religion, because if you go back, I took this religion class, was basically saying how like a man is supposed to be the head of the household, and like a woman is supposed to be submissive.
It says
So whatever your man tells you is one.
It says that in the Bible.
Yeah, so whatever a man tells you, whatever he
That's it.
throws at you, is like you just have to take it. You have to be submissive. He tells you to jump, you say hi, and it's just it's one of those things. But it's like after a while, it's like society came to is like woman just like I feel like it's like woman just came to a point where it's just like I don't have to listen to a man. Right. And it's like when a man can't control you, he tries to control you in every aspect. Like he's trying to manipulate. Like a woman's supposed to like not obey me, but it's one of those things where it's like you're supposed to listen. You're supposed to be submissive to your man. If your man tells you something, it's like.
Right.
But now it's like women are just getting to that point where it's like I want an education.
Yeah.
Right.
I want to be I want to be the head of the household.
Right.
I want to control. I want to be independent.
I want to get the most money.
Yeah. And then someone
Once
said
you
Jesus.
take that from a man, though, it's just like, especially a weak-minded man, then it's just like, what do I have? Then it's just that's when the violence gets put in play. You know what I'm saying? So money is finance. Finance is a great it's a prominent, you know.
I don't even think it was like a weak-minded man. I just think it's like once a woman leaves that aspect of not being underneath a man and tries to be a man equal, a man feels challenged. And it's like I don't feel like a man actually wants to feel like challenged by a woman. Yeah, it's okay to be challenged by a
emasculated.
Yeah, I feel like it's okay to be challenged by another man, but when it's like when your woman's trying to do you, it's like hold up, like that's questioning my manhood, like you know. So it's like
it's kind of like how men get so offended when you call them like bitch.
Yeah,
or fuck nigga. They hate that.
Okay, society is constantly telling us what flaws we have on our bodies, especially for women, but we should be questioning why we were made to believe there are flaws to begin with.
Yes.
I think I saw this quote, and it was just like you have to realize that you are whole. You don't need no one else to make you whole. You are whole yourself. And once you realize that, you have all the power in the world.
But I also feel like it also depends on like the generation. For instance, like when I was a young girl, like being a dark-skinned woman was the ugliest thing ever. Now I am a hashtag.
Woman, yeah.
Now it's like melanin popping. Everybody love dark-skinned girls. I'm like, back then I was like, nobody would even look my way because I was a dark-skinned woman. Like people made me feel like I was probably like the ugliest thing in the world. So it's like, it's hard to like feel like you're beautiful in your own skin if like society's at that moment in time society's telling you like,
and also,
remember
that's
ugly.
You were Haitian
and I was Haitian, so
Haitian,
it depends on your culture.
Being Haitian, you ate cats, you boiled dogs.
Yeah, so it's like it's one of those things where it's like it depends on like society at that moment where it's like what they think is cool, what they think is trending, or what they think it deserves a hashtag. So it's like back then being Haitian, being black, being dark skinned at that was like it wasn't cool. So it's like how can I love my skin if like everyone around me is telling me like I'm ugly, or everyone around telling me like it's not cool to be Haitian, it's not cool to be this. So it's like even though it's an emotional abuse, but it's like at that time it's not cool. But now like I feel like I'm popping.
Right.
I'm only popping because society's telling me you popping. You know, it's trendy. So it's like, okay, you popping. Having big lips, you popping. Having big booty, you popping. Back then it was like I was trying to lose weight.
Yeah.
I was like,
you're fat.
I'm like, oh, I'm fat. But now it's like, oh, okay, now I'm thick. Okay, I'm popping. But it's like I feel like it also depends on society.
Isn't it kind of interesting that we can see like that cycle of abuse within our own society? Like you feeling like that was part of like taking away your power so that you are weak and vulnerable, so that you have to result into like being in toxic situations to survive, so that you are like it's like such a bigger system than just people. It's like the whole entire way we're structured is so violent towards women, let alone black women, right? And I just it like blows my mind. Like you were saying that and I was connecting the dots in my head like, man, this sounds like a domestic abuse violence relationship but with society. So it's just like, you know, it blows my mind.
Okay, Take Over the Moon said, can we talk about how rape is handled in society? Victim blaming and the protection that perpetrators always get.
It's crazy, yo. I remember I told one of my friends, because when I was raped, it happened on campus. It was at a party. And I remember I told one of my friends, and one of my friends was like, if I was there with you, that wouldn't have happened. And I was like, are you kidding me?
If he hadn't raped you, that wouldn't have happened,
If he hadn't raped me, that wouldn't have happened.
I like that.
Victim blaming is there. Like, I don't know how many people I've told, and they're like, "Oh, but were you drinking?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but did you know them? Didn't you meet them earlier?
Were you flirting with him? Maybe he got
were you
the wrong
flirting with
idea.
him? Like,
Yeah.
didn't you know like what they were doing or where they were taking you? Like, are you sure you remember? I'm just like,
Are you serious?
I also think it's like also when you're in like in a vulnerable stage, like people try to manipulate the situation also to say like, do you know? For instance, one thing is like not everyone know what rape is. You know, for instance, like if you're drunk, passed out, you're at a party, you start kissing a guy, y'all, even though you don't want it, you don't say no. In your mind, you're just like, I didn't want this. I didn't want this. But it's like, did you say you didn't want it?
Yeah.
That's what society says. Like
being drunk and having sex with somebody, just being out of your state of mind is rape.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
no, I'm saying like that's why society downplays it a lot because like for instance, like at least with college women, it always happens around a form of intoxication.
right.
So it's like always happens like during like after a party or whatever situation. So it's like being intoxicated is like okay, well you were drunk, but did you say no? Well you weren't like, but you found him like you say like for instance like people like to downplay, but it's like in reality it's like rape is rape.
Yes.
Even if I didn't say no, if I even like was like pushing you means no to me.
Yes.
So it's like.
Yes.
Don't be taking my as yeah because it means no like so it's like, and I feel like a lot of girls on like campus, like depending on the status of the guy, it's like it's hard to talk about.
Yeah.
It's hard to really be like, okay, he raped me. Definitely like everyone thinks he's like this great guy, and it's just like
say it again.
well this great guy, and it's like who's gonna believe you? It's like one of those things like you feel voiceless because it's like who's actually be like, okay, yeah, he raped you. No,
exactly.
like he's a great guy, like but it's like you know,
especially if he's good looking.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, people will be like,
An athlete
raped you?
Right.
What you talking about? He's
Didn't
so
you want
fine.
that?
Didn't
Yeah.
you? Exactly.
I think, like,
I
even-
didn't want him. I didn't want him.
Even the way they like kind of like came at you and like said those specific things, that's part of like the sexist language that was like referred to earlier. Like the fact that you're the problem and not him, right? Or that there's something that you could have done to been more. That's the problem. Like to me, the whole dialogue of how we talk about rape is the problem that comes with being
It's
like
like
getting.
what people say when it's just like, why do I have to teach my daughter to go out and be careful to not get raped?
Right.
Why can't you just teach your young
Yeah.
men to not rape people
Exactly.
or just
Right.
with common decency?
Right.
In
so
terms
someone
of-
sorry
No, you're okay.
so someone you cannot concept when you cannot consent
Yeah.
when you are drunk. You need a clear, confident yes for consent. But I feel like it also depends on like if you know I'm under the influence. Some people like to manipulate the situation. So it's like how can you really give consent if you're under the influence? But if two people are under consent, that's a hard case. But it's like if I'm under consent and you're
Completely
clear,
sober?
you're sober, there's no way you should be able to take advantage of that other person. So it's like that's my feedback about that. But
In terms of like saying no, I have like a few thoughts on that. So like kind of like what Matt or Phantom of Your Opera was commenting on is the fact that people are like legislation, whatever, people, society, I don't know, is trying to move away from the fact of rape being like I said no, rather okay. So instead of being like rape is I said no, rape is there was a lack of yes.
yes.
Because sometimes it could be uncomfortable to say no. You know what I mean? You could physically be unable to, considering depending on like your mental state. Also, like it could be scary to say no, and you could end in like a dangerous situation. You might have to. This is gonna sound like messed up, but you have to be raped in some situations so you're not killed. You know what I mean? Like if you say no, then what's gonna happen past there?
Yeah.
So you're thinking about like your best interest in mind. Also in terms of like the idea of no, it also heavily plays into like the porn industry really plays into this too, but just like gender roles in terms of women in bed, because it's kind of like cute and flirtatious when women are like, oh no, I don't really want it, like, and then you like convince her, and that's like this like sexy, I don't know, scenario for men, and because it like they want women to be like meek and like men general term like want their women to be virginal. That's like the main thing, like everyone wants a virgin, you know. So you don't want the girl in bed who's like, oh yeah, like I know exactly what I want, da 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 da. Like when a woman is kind of like unsure, that could make you like more attracted to her, because it's like, oh, she doesn't know what she's doing, she's a little nervous, I'm gonna help her. Yeah, this is probably her first time. Yeah, so there's all these like thoughts and ideas behind like women who don't say no that makes it attractive, which is like really disturbing to think about.
Like other trailer just said, and you think he would kill you? And you think would he kill me if I tried to fight him off, or should I just pray he gets over with it quickly.
Exactly, that's what I was saying.
Yeah. So back to what you were saying.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I like that.
I think that's one of those things where it's like people do like the reason why they don't even like verbally say no. It's like you don't know what's after that no. You know, so it's like if I say no, if I push him out, then what? You know, so it's like sometimes like I've like we even watch a movie where it's like some girl like she doesn't even say no, but it's like in her face and her body language. You can tell it's physically. You can tell like for instance like when it comes to sex, it's three components of sex: communication, understanding, and a form of passion. If like she's sitting there just like you can see in her body language, there's no form of like interaction or form of chemistry, like it's no.
Your vagina can even say no.
Like there's no.
Your vagina says no. Like
okay, wait. So on that though, like sometimes that's like a really big misconception because like women will get wet when they're being raped, and so that says so many things. The rapist is like, oh, well, clearly she likes it. Like, she's wet for me.
That's true.
And then women, like, they leave the situation. They, like, doubt themselves. They're like, well, did I like being raped? Like, I was physically excited. But that's just, like, your body doesn't want your vagina to be teared. Right. So it's just producing those things. That way you're not, like, hurt. And well, there was something that you just, I don't know. But, yeah, just rape culture, man. I don't know. I feel like another big aspect about it that we didn't really touch on yet is, like, slut-shaming. I don't know if you guys want to speak on that. That was like that's a big thing for me. But does anyone want to say on that?
I think my only comment on slut shaming, it's like the virgin whore dichotomy is like so interesting to me, mainly because like you could be a whore when you're like I don't know how even it's like constructed anymore because I'm so detached from that ideology and I like specifically detach myself because it creates so many like norms, right? And it also creates so many like stereotypes, like if she's showing too much skin, she's a slut. So now we have to like be conscientious of our dress code, right? And like how we're presenting ourselves in any circumstance because it's our fault if they're looking at us because our skirts are too short, right? But then
too short.
Yeah. And then I think about like the virgin aspect of it and like waiting and waiting till marriage and having sex in marriage, but then you're expected to have sex like according to your husband or according to your partner. And I think that like whole like balancing is so like much more interconnected than we actually talk about, right? Like it's a virgin whore dichotomy, but it's really not a dichotomy because they're so interconnected in the sense that they're both expected to perform a certain way because of ownership, right?
I think that's like at the root of like a lot of who we are as women because we're always at that crossroads. Am I gonna get shamed because I'm a certain type of way? Am I allowed to break the rules just this one time and still not get shamed? Exactly. Am I gonna put my costume on today? Am I allowed to be someone else today and get away with it? Or is someone gonna say something?
Right.
And so always have that in the back of your mind. That's not freedom.
It isn't.
That isn't.
Yeah, and I feel like it just goes back to the whole idea that like our bodies are never really ours as women. I mean, between like slut shaming and like not being able to really enjoy sex, like sexual liberation for women, I feel like is completely it's kind of like taboo for me to say that, I feel, but it's so important because like we're not even taught like masturbation for men. I mean, like, no offense, men, but it's like fairly obvious. Like, I don't know, like I think so, but like women's bodies are a little bit more complicated, and like you're not like taught those things. You know what I mean? And then like so women go their whole lives like not knowing how to please themselves. I mean, to me that's like mind blowing. Like if you know, assuming that a person wants to be pleased, because some people don't, but if you like sexual pleasure and you go your entire life and sex for you is just like the other person getting off, like how are you even a person? Like how do we even like have control of our bodies in any sense of the word? So that's just like one way that our bodies are controlled. I mean, there's multiple obviously, but before you said something about like your skirt being too short or this or that, and I just thought of, okay, so like definitely another way that is violence against women is like education. And that could be like a very global issue, but specifically the point that I thought of because of what you said is just the idea of like dress codes in schools for little girls. I mean, they're gross for many reasons, but it's the fact that little girls' bodies are like sexualized. I don't know. These girls are like 12. Like okay, she's wearing a short skirt. Like she's 12, you know. And B, girls are sent home from school because they're wearing like tank tops. Because why? Because they have a bra strap, and one of their like boys in their class might get excited.
Even showing their shoulders. It's like
it's insane. I mean, so that's just a very like this country issue, I feel, but
it's not even just country.
education
It's like in
gen-
other countries
yeah,
in general.
Education, like as a global issue for women, I mean, so many women don't have access to education, and that's like, how can you even move forward if you're not even allowed to learn how to read or
Not
like
even
learn how to write?
In school, churches, like I can't show my shoulders in church.
Depending on your religion, like for instance, like
Yeah.
I'm a Baptist.
Yeah.
Baptist in like, I guess I would say in the American culture is way different from my Haitian culture. Like, I can't wear pants.
Yes.
I can't show my shoulders.
Right.
I can't do this. I can. I'm just like, God said, come as you are.
Yes,
like,
that's
like,
what I'm saying. Yeah.
But it's like, I feel like everything just depends on like your culture as well. It's like, it's crazy. It's crazy. So, also, I just feel like, what about like not domestic violence, but what about violence within like households as well? I feel like that also that takes a toll on a woman, like just growing up like in a household where it's like, first, like even your mother verbally abused you, verbally like abuse. There's times like, for instance, like I don't know if it's like a Haitian thing, but like the way certain culture, I don't know about other culture, but like the way like for instance, like a Haitian mom would talk, like tough love is great, but sometimes
It's
a
over the
sister
top.
cannot
Take it.
right. Like it's great. I love it. Made me the strong one I am today. But there's times like I broke down. Like, damn, do my mom love me? Like, like she's talking to me so harsh to the point I'm like, I had to question myself. I'm like, no, there's no way. Like, you could love someone if you're just like, you this, you that.
Like that you find yourself hating that person.
Yeah.
Right.
Like at one point, I hated my mom.
Yeah.
6th grade, I hated my mom. Like, why does she talk to me like that?
Yeah.
Like, why can't I do this type of thing? Why can't my brothers do this, but I can't? So,
Right.
yeah.
I think that also it comes to like, I don't even know what I want to say, I'm sorry. But like mostly, like I think about like my culture too, right? And I think about like the expectations that I, as a woman, as a Latina woman, are expected to do. So it's like, I have to fix my dad's plate, fix my brother's plate, like, and then fix my whoever I brought
And
plate.
then you could eat.
And then I could eat, but I can only eat in like certain places. And then prior to that, I can't even be in like the living space where we're watching sports and having conversations. I have to be in the kitchen with the rest of the women, cooking and like learning and like absorbing all of this knowledge that I'm supposed to like carry on, right? And although that's really important knowledge, I think that like it's almost kind of unfair that I'm subjected to it because in that space, as like we already know, there's so much critique, right? What are we doing in the kitchen really? Like besides cooking, we're critiquing other families and like women, and then you're subjected to this narrative. And I just think like, I think about it, and I think about like patriarchy inside of the U.S. and outside of the U.S. and how much more they're like interconnected than we think, but also how they differentiate, because there's such more like discipline in women outside of the U.S. to like conform and be subjected to that like violence in a sense than it is inside the U.S. I think we're like very liberated here. I think that we have like the option to, you know, not wear bras and still like be accepted in certain places versus like I think back in my parents' country where like you have to wear a bra to leave the house. Like if you don't, like you are really disrespectful. You're rude.
Yes.
So it's like I think about that all the time, and just to go off your point.
Yeah.
Even cutting your hair.
Right.
Yeah. My mom got kicked out of her house. She lived in Haiti. My mom got kicked out of her house when she was 18 because she cut her hair off. Because she was my
Like
grandfather.
permanently? Like she.
My grandfather was like, I don't know where you're gonna stay, because she asked already. He said, I don't know where you're gonna stay, but you're not gonna stay in my house with your hair cut like that because you like the boy.
Yeah.
So even cutting your hair, showing that you love yourself, not as a woman, as an individual.
Even the style of your hair, like it's like if you have curly hair, you gotta straighten it.
Yeah.
Like,
For instance, I remember like my auntie, cause like I used to wear long hair, like I used to like the little inches,
Me too.
and then she just be like, "So you a stripper?" And I'm just like, I just like long hair, like it just. I just feel like it's like it also deals with like you'll tolerate whatever happens in your household is what you're gonna tolerate on the street. That's how I see it. Like when it came to like my mom talking rough to me, it's certain things people say I had tough skin, so it's like you can say something and be like, all right, bet. But after a while, I'm just like, no means no. Like when you're used to something, it's like okay, like I could deal with it. But then you look back and you see how other people are being treated. You see how other women, like how other families, like you go to your friend's house, you see how other families like treat their daughters. Like, nah, this is not right. This is not how I'm supposed to be treated. So I'm not gonna take this from anyone. So like when you start to voice your opinion, people just like, okay, so you think you're this, you think it. So they try to tear you down because they try to keep you in this box. as a woman, they try to keep you in this box. The moment you're educated woman, educated colored woman, is you can't tame that person.
Yeah.
Because education is key. Like,
let them know.
education is key, so it's like, it's crazy.
Not even colored, minority.
Yes.
Like, do you guys ever, like, in your own, like, maybe, like, families or what you consist of your family to be, like, ever see them, like, kind of critique you because you're educated?
Hello.
And,
Yes.
like, I always get called, like, la politica. Like, that means, like, the politician. But it's not necessarily because I am a politician, but because I just voice my opinion.
Yeah.
And I'm, like, the first to tell my family what's good. Like, I'm like, you're wrong.
Like, what are they teaching you in
Also,
college?
like, if you're like a first generation, like for instance, like with me, like I'm the first one to ever even get like high school diploma. So it's like a lot of like my cousins just try to tear me down. Like, okay, like you think you're better than me, or you think you're this, you think you're that, or you're gonna end up like this. They just have my whole destination. Like you're gonna end up like this, and I'm just like, nah, I'm not gonna end up like this. So it's like you have to have that mindset where it's like, even if this is how you view me, it's a reflection of yourself.
Right.
It's one of those, like, people like to, like, sit there and, like, view as, a, like, an image of theirs. So that hatred that they have within themselves, when they try to reflect on other people. So they try to suppress you where it's like, okay, well, you're doing this, but I don't want you to because I want to that at a point in time, but someone tore me down, so I'm going to come and try to tear you down and stop you from accomplishing what you want to accomplish because my dreams got crushed. You know, so it's
and I just want to say that's definitely not like an accident that you're a woman and that happens to you, because I feel, you know, perhaps in first generation family homes, like perhaps like the men experience that too, but I would like bet money on the fact that if it does happen, it doesn't happen as harshly, it doesn't happen as often, like it's not like painted in the same tone as it does. I think there's just something very scary for people still about educated women.
Yeah,
like,
and I think it like scares them too that we're not like settled down with like, you know, like marriage.
Why aren't you dating
like,
yet? Do you have a boyfriend? Like,
I get that every time I go back home.
But do you think that sometimes women in a household like take what they get from like their family, like with the derogatory like, terms or remarks, because they think about like, oh, this is my family, like this is my mother who gave birth to me, this is like the person who like cared for me for so many years, who gave me my car, who put me through school, who's still paying for my college, who provides everything that I need. I think that's why some people take it.
Yeah, that's why I take it.
I think
like I'm not gonna front right there, you know, like my mom will like be the first to put me in my place and make me feel down, but at the same time, like I'll ride for that woman. Like, at the end of the day, that's my like that's my woman. Like I will like do anything to defend her, but I don't know if that's like toxic, because at the same time I think that she expects things out of me and I need to produce, and like her way of verbalizing it, because I'm the first to go to school, because I'm like the first to graduate.
You ever think about like how she was talked to?
And
that's just how she thinks that she should talk to you.
And that's also, I like for my mom, for instance, like, cause like me and her, I had to have a conversation with my mom, cause I was just like, I couldn't take it. So it's like, my mom talked the way she talked to me because she knew society would try to tear me down. So she tried to give me the toughest skin. Like, she tried to prepare me for what the world was going to say. It was like, when I was like, why do you talk to me like this? Like, I get straight A's. I do everything I can. And she was like, because society will throw everything at you, and I want you to be prepared for whatever the world throws at you. Like, so it's like when it was like, tough love, but at first, like, when you don't understand what tough love is, it's like
isn't that like, sickening when you think about it though?
The fact that that's an option.
Why do we have to be
why
so
do we
strong?
why do we have to tear down our daughters, the people that we birth, because we know that other people are going to try to get at them? Like, that is actually crazy.
Yeah, that's why I feel like I think about mother-daughter relationships a lot, actually, because like, you know, your mother, theoretically, like, she's a woman who's supposed to teach you like what it means to be a woman. So I feel like, generally speaking, they teach daughters like the old ways of what it meant to be a woman, because of like generational differences, this and that. So you grow up being like, okay, my mom's knowledge is the word, this or this or that, and then something happens, and you know, you realize the ways of patriarchy, and you kind of like doubt it. Like, why did my mom teach me these things? Like, that's so outdated. Like, not even outdated. That's just so like messed up, you know. And so then you're in this like conflict, like, because you know you're supposed to trust your mother. She's like the wisest person you know, but she's just teaching you things that make you smarter. I don't know. It's very complicated, mother-daughter relationships.
One thing that I'll always give my mom credit for, because I have an older brother. He's like 7 years older than me. So that right there, he could have had all the power play in our relationship. But my mom, because she came from a big family and she had a lot of older brothers, and they never listened to her, and she wasn't allowed to have a voice. she always told my brother, I don't care if she says something stupid. I don't care if she's talking gibberish. You listen to her.
That's good.
And that gave me power
That's
from
great.
day one.
That's
Oh my
good.
god, that's
So-
amazing. That's amazing.
There's like a lot of really good comments.
Yes, read them.
So I'm gonna start from. It was kind of just one. Hold on. Right. I think right here. Right. So eating lunch, I was visibly getting upset. I couldn't tell if I was a flirtatious game or if she was in danger. I think that's like referring to our like previous comment on like sexist language. But also someone said black moms tough love with their daughter, but baby their sons.
Why is that?
It comes from the Willie Lynch letter.
Mm.
Because Willie Lynch basically had the concept where it's like you have to tear a black woman down in order and then like she becomes dependent.
Right.
To the point she becomes dependent. But when it comes like a black man, it's like one of those things where it's like a black man, not saying they're not independent, but it's like they become dependent emotionally. So it's like when it comes to like a black woman, it's like you try to strive on your own, and your job is to protect a black man.
Right.
You try to like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like they baby their sons because like what society tries to tear down like black, not saying like it's Black Lives Matter, but like society tears down black men to the point where it's like you have to show him that love.
Right.
You have to show him that unconditional love that society does not give him. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when it comes to a black woman, it's like you have to give her that tough skin to like, this is what you have to do. This is what you need to do. Like you have to be the best of the best no matter what. So it's like it's like that dependent psychological thing where it's like I love it because I personally feel like I will ride for my little brothers. Like I feel like a superhero, a superwoman, whatever you want to call it. Like I love it. I love being a strong woman, but sometimes I'm like, when is it okay for me not to be strong? You know, when is it okay for me to be like, okay, well, at this moment. I don't feel like being a strong woman. At this moment, I do want to show some type of like that I'm a human being.
Right.
Because sometimes I feel like as a black woman, like I'm a robot. I gotta be okay all the time. I have to hold it together all the time. Like sometimes I get to a point like I can become very irrational in my room. Like I don't want to hold it together for society because society thinks I just have to be this strong person because the world's against me. But like there's times that I want to show emotions.
Right.
You know, so
That is very true. Right.
So true. Someone said also on the conversation of family and education, when I learn some information, I try to educate my family so we both have the knowledge, but it's seen as uppity, and I think that's important too. But
when it comes to that, I also feel like it depends on how you're trying to educate your family. Because like when it comes like for instance like if you're like a immigrant, they're already in their own cultural aspect, so it's like they're already coming to Americans like you're trying to change their aspect because like that's how the Americans do it. But it's like
My dad always tells me like, oh no, Dad, I'm telling you, like this is I know. He's just like, I know what I'm talking about. They're stuck in their ways.
Yeah.
Not even just being Haitian, like Hispanics, like they're stuck in their ways. It's just like I'm in school, I know what I'm talking about.
yeah. So it comes to the point where it's like.
So I wasn't gonna talk, but Instagram kicks us off after an hour, so it's about to kick us off in like 1 minute. So I know, so we're gonna restart it, right? So I know both of y'all have to leave, but thank you so much for being here, y'all. Absolutely amazing. So we're gonna end it and we're gonna restart it in the next minute. Okay, so so we'll see y'all soon.
I was like,
that was great.
Yeah, that was amazing.